Hello, glad to have you back. We're going to crack on with our beginner series by starting the basic shape of our medieval house in the way I would normally do it, rather than this way I showed you last time, which was to just plop a bunch of cubes on top of each other. So I'm going to delete all of those and start anew with a new cube. And again, I'm going to scale that 5 times what that'll give us 10 meters. Alright, it's a 10-meter house, that's fine. In fact, let's do what we had before, 12-meter house. And I'm just going to go back into isometric, plop that on the floor. Bush. Okay, so I'm going to make it a bit thinner. So if you press SX, we'll just draw that in a little. I think I might make it a bit bigger. So on the Z-axis, I'm going to give it 14 meters. So I just made it a little bit bigger. Just put it back on the floor. Back on the floor. There you go, mate. So we can achieve the same as what we had before, but we can do it all from one object. In the same way that we made the table, we can make that shape here, and just by loop cutting in the right places. So one thing about Control R, which you remember is to give you a loop cut. Once you've pressed Control R, you get, you're picking your axis. If you roll the mouse wheel, you get more loop cuts, multiple loop cuts, and they're all symmetrically placed apart. So as you can see, you can chop once and get loads of subdivisions, but you'd never want to do just that, because if you do that, you've then got to go around individually doing all these, so you wouldn't want to do that. But what we can do is it was 4 levels, so if I just Control R and then press 4, there's our 4 levels. Once I left click, I can move it, and if I just right click, it puts it there. That's probably way more levels than I need. That's fine. Okay, so now if we select these 4 faces and then we press E for extrude Y, we do it a little bit and I hold shift, and then I'm going to control click to remove that face and do the same again. Extrude on the Y, and then control click, extrude these 2 on the Y, and control click, extrude these guys on the Y. Okay, so we've got the same shape, but now it's all one object. So when we come to texture this, it will all be seamless. There won't be any weird seams, it won't repeat anywhere. It will just look like one object, which is what it should. Okay, so how many minutes? That's 3 minutes. Sweet. So now we could probably do with adding some doors and windows. We'll get to the roof, but for now, let's look at just putting some loop cuts in for the doors and windows. So if I press Tab, and you click anywhere, you're clicking off what your previous selection was. So I'm going to want a door slap bang in the middle. So if I put Control R, put a loop cut there, and then as we did before, I want it symmetrical on both sides. So remember, if you press Control B, you're just cutting that in the middle, and we're extending that symmetrically. So that probably looks about door sized, I guess. And I'm going to put Control R, another loop cut just above. So there we have our door. In fact, let's do this. If we click on this specific face and then inset again with I. One thing I haven't mentioned. Let me see. If you change the shape of something, great habit which I've forgotten clearly, is to press Control. In fact, if I show you why I'm doing this, as I try to inset there, it's not going evenly. The sides, the sides are thinner than the top. I wanted that to go evenly, but that's because when I scaled this and edited it, the scale wasn't applied, and to apply the scale means it puts it as though this is how this object should be. So if I apply the scale, the scale goes back to 1. All of this will be 1, even though they're different. This is clearly higher than it is wider. Once you apply the scale, it will assume this is how this object always was. So 1 denotes x for 4 meters on the x-axis. Y denotes 6 meters on the y-axis. You get the gist. So if I press Control A, and then I go to this one to apply the scale, now you see the scale is all switched to 1. Again, even though it's taller than it is wider, it assumes that that is the scale it should be. So now, when we go to the door, and we've got this face selected still, we press I, see now it's symmetrical all the way around, because I'm trying to make a frame. But rather than the sides being thinner than the above and below, it's the same now because I applied the scale. So applying scale is massively important. I forgot to mention it earlier on. But so that's, yeah, you want to do that. Apply the scale, Control A, choose scale, and then that problem will go away. So now that we've inset that, what I would like to do is select this face at the bottom, press X, and just click. So when you delete, you've got the choice. You can either delete just the vertices, the connected, the edges, or the faces. I want the face gone. So that face is now gone. And what I want to do is just grab this vertex and that one, and I'm going to bring them both down. It doesn't matter, we don't need to be exact. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, and now if we select this face, and this face, we'll make a frame. And we press E to extrude a little bit. Gosh, we've got a door frame. So now we've got a door frame in our house. Well, my own 7 minutes. We can do this in 10 minutes. So we'll just repeat the process for the window. So I'm going to put a loop cut there and a loop cut there. And then if you double click on an edge, you'll select the entire loop. So double clicking selects the whole loop. If you single click, you're just selecting one edge. If you double click, you're selecting the loop. So if I select that loop, press Shift and select that loop, and then we do that Control B trick, it will do it properly. Oh, sorry, actually, cancel that, Control Z, Control Z. What I said was important, but what I did was wrong. So I want to Control R, and now I want, let's go 3. So 3 cuts, Control R on this side, press 3 cuts. And for the window frames, if we put a loop cut in the middle there on the X, loop cut there, Control R, loop cut there, Control R, loop cut there. And then we keep that selected, press Shift, select that one, select that one, select that one, Control B again to separate them. And now we have some faces we can select for windows. So let's just select a bunch of them. So we'll pick, I never get this symmetrically right. That one, Shift, that one, Shift, that one, Shift, that one. Not that one. Control, and then, yeah. So that'll do. And then let's have another 2 there. Let's have another 4 up here. And then 2 up there. Okay. And then if we press I to inset just a little bit. Okay. And then this time we're going to press E and we're going to inset it. So we're going to extrude inwards. So E, and then move it so instead of going out, you're going in. Like this. Alright. And then 9 minutes. To finish this first part, we will, if you double click on a loop where a loop meets, it will select that entire loop. As much as double clicking on an edge will select the loop, if you double click on a face, it will select the edge of the loop. So I can go upwards and I can go sideways. And because the loop is connected, it's 4 quad, it can select the whole loop. So this is the loops that we're selecting, and then we'll be done. And I'm just holding Shift the whole time here, just to select these edge loops. And then once you've got the last one, zoom in a bit, press E and then hold shift and just bring them out. And there we have the beginnings of our house. Alright, wicked. We'll move on in the next one. Alright. So long.